Nigeria's debt might rise to as high as 50.22 trillion naira by 2023. This is according to the projections in the National Development Plan 2021 to 2025. However, the government targets a reduction in total public debt by 2025. Experts have called for caution owing to the country's declining revenue. Our correspondent Folashade Ogunride tells us more in this report.
The struggle to stabilize the economy and help cushion the effects of COVID-19 has triggered a chain of borrowings, both domestic and external, by the federal government. The latest approval of President Muhammadu Buhari's request for new loans totaling $5.8 billion under the 2018-2020 external borrowing rolling plan has swelled the country's total debt to over 38 trillion naira.
We've always had a budget deficit. Revenues have not matched up to expected expenditure. You could attribute this to many things: the slump in the price of oil, COVID-induced slump in price of oil. We've gone into recession twice, and we sort of had to spend our way through it, and we didn't have the money, so we borrowed the money. And also, we tried to build infrastructure, and we don't have the money, and we borrowed. But what is more worrying is that if you look at the analysis, we're borrowing to curb to spend on recurrent expenditure, and that for me is not the good thing. Today, we have excess of 90% debt to revenue ratio, and that is also very worrying. So, yes, our debt position is indeed very worrying.
Recently, the National Assembly jacked up the total spending for the 2022 fiscal year to 17.126 trillion naira against the 16.391 trillion naira initially proposed by the executive. This increase of 700 billion naira raises the budget's deficit by 98 billion naira.
We've seen a consistent accumulation of debt in the country, and unfortunately, we cannot really hold on to basic fundamental changes in infrastructure supply in the economy that one can attribute to the amount of debt we've accumulated. So what we've seen is that we are now borrowing largely to meet recurrent expenditure and debt service.
Despite the criticisms that has trailed the nation's increasing debt profile, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, says the government is borrowing responsibly.
The level of borrowing is not unreasonable, it's not high. The problem we have is that of revenue. So what we need to do is to increase our revenues to be able to enhance our debt service obligation capacity. We need to borrow to build out major infrastructure. We just need to make sure that when we borrow, and the president has ensured that we're doing that when we borrow, we're applying the borrowing to specific major infrastructure that will enhance the business environment in this country.
It's been 16 years since Nigeria cleared up its debt profile when the Paris Club of Creditors generously wrote off over 80% of the nation's debt. However, Nigeria's foreign debt has since grown 3 times more since 2007, as the Debt Management Office disclosed that Nigeria's public debt was over 38 trillion naira as of the end of the third quarter of 2021. Folashade Ogunride, TV 360 News.